We're beginning tonight with developments in investigations into both President Biden and former President Trump. Sources tell CBS News the FBI searched the Penn Biden Center offices in mid-November. Now, we didn't know about that search before. It came after lawyers for President Biden found about 10 documents marked classified on November 2nd. And sources say the search was conducted with the cooperation of Mr. Biden's representatives and that the FBI did not seek a search warrant. CBS News has also obtained video of portions of former President Trump's deposition with New York Attorney General Letitia James. This video shows Mr. Trump sitting for a deposition last August during a civil fraud investigation. The former president invoked the Fifth Amendment for nearly 4 hours.
If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment? I was asking that question. Now I know the answer to that question. When your family, your company, and all the people in your orbit have become the targets of an unfounded, politically motivated witch hunt supported by lawyers, prosecutors, and even the fake news media, you really have no choice. Anyone in my position not taking the Fifth Amendment would be a fool, an absolute fool.
For more on all this and what it means for our politics, Steven Portnoy and Nikole Killion join us now. Steven is CBS News Radio White House correspondent, and Nikole is CBS News congressional correspondent. Welcome to you both. And Steven, I will start with you. So we thought we knew about all the searches. It turns out we did not know about all of the searches. Does the White House have any explanation for why we're only finding out now about an FBI search that took place a couple of months ago?
Not really. No, Nancy, no, not really. We don't really have a full explanation. The White House communications director did say today that the White House has issued multiple statements, along with the president's personal lawyer, and that they're cooperating with the Justice Department. But this revelation today, which came to us from our Crackerjack team, Arden Fari and Adriana Diaz, this is the latest bit of reporting from this team that has brought forward details that no one had previously known, really does just continue to raise more questions about whether there's anything else that the White House or the president's personal attorneys are keeping from the public. And it does, to an extent, continue to raise that vulnerability for the president. But one other thing that the White House communications director said today, she pointed to our poll that came out on Sunday from CBS News, which shows that 54% of those polled said they think the president's handling this well, and 61% say that Joe Biden is cooperating with the Justice Department's investigation. 80%, however, say that this is something the Justice Department is properly looking into.
And the significance of this, of course, is that clearly DOJ was concerned enough about the possibility that there were more classified documents at the Penn Biden Center beyond what the Biden lawyers had unearthed, that they felt that they needed to come search as well, although we still don't know exactly what they found there. Nikole, we now have a bipartisan request for the first time for more information about these documents. You've got the chair and the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee saying they want to see what was gathered at the Biden home and at the Penn Biden Center. They want to understand what kind of secrets were being held there. Why do they want this information, and how likely are they to get these documents from DOJ in the midst of a DOJ investigation?
Well, in terms of Senators Warner and Rubio, I mean, they believe that their key role is oversight. And because they lead the Intelligence Committee, that's why they say that it is important to get information like this, not so much so that they can get to the bottom of what happened, but more so to get to the bottom of what these documents were and whether any intelligence was compromised in the process and how to mitigate that in the future. So they certainly understand their lane. You know, they're not trying to get into the same type of investigation that is being pursued by the Department of Justice and the special counsel. They simply want to figure out what these documents were. Was there any intelligence that was compromised? And again, how to mitigate that. And so that is why they want this information. And they're a little frustrated, too, because if you think about that Mar-a-Lago search, that happened last year, some 6 months ago, in terms of the Biden documents. While we just learned about that at the beginning of this year, technically they were discovered at the end of last year. So they feel there has been a lot of time that has lapsed from the discovery of these documents, and yet they still don't have information. Mitch McConnell also saying today to reporters that he certainly supports the request from these committee chairmen, and he believes that it is entirely reasonable.
Stephen, we also got this first look today at a deposition, a pretty unusual deposition of former President Trump in this New York fraud case where he literally pled the Fifth in response to hundreds of questions. This is someone who has mocked others for pleading the Fifth in the past. What's the significance of this case and the significance of the fact that he decided to plead the Fifth, even as he expounded on the case as he was undergoing this deposition?
Well, of course, this is the fraud trial that was brought and is being brought by the Attorney General of New York State, who was actually in the room with Donald Trump when this deposition was taken in August. And in the preamble to his not answering questions, Donald Trump did deliver a lengthy statement, which seemed tailor-made for his own audience to hear, his own base. And one of the things that you heard him say in the soundbite that we played earlier is the idea that anyone who didn't plead the Fifth is a fool. But he also said that he sees this as a witch hunt. He said to Letitia James, while she was seated at the table, that he believed it to be unfair. And he also made the point of saying that this was all happening just 2 days after the FBI went into his home in Mar-a-Lago for that search back in August. On the whole, though, you see over hours of this deposition, the former president simply saying same answer, in an almost disciplined way. But also at times you see him shaking his head, almost as if to say either he was rejecting the premise of a question or nodding his head, but simply saying for the transcript and for the record, same answer, pleading the Fifth, citing his right to avoid self-incrimination.
Interesting. Nikole, I want to ask you about another politician, New York Congressman George Santos, who suddenly today, after not taking a lot of responsibility for a lot of these falsehoods that he has told, suddenly announcing that he is going to recuse himself from his congressional committees. What rationale did he give for doing this? And give everyone an understanding of just how unusual it is for a member of Congress to say, I'm going to remove myself from these committees until this ethics cloud over me is gone.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of layers to this. What we do know is that Congressman Santos announced this decision during a closed-door GOP conference meeting where he said that he did not want to be a distraction, and so he felt it was best to step aside from these two committees, one the Committee on Small Business, the other Committee on Science, and so he felt that it was prudent to do that until his name is cleared. And he said late today that he is confident that his name has been cleared. But while certainly we know that the congressman is ensnared in a number of investigations, both federally, internationally, locally, and even, here in Congress with respect to the Ethics Committee. There is also this other dynamic where both in the House and Senate, they still haven't ironed out all of their business as it relates to committees in the sense of organizing. And so in terms of the House, of course, you have a situation where Speaker Kevin McCarthy wants to remove Congressman Ilhan Omar from Minnesota off of the Foreign Affairs panel. He hopes to move forward with a vote on that soon, but the concern was if he did that, then potentially there could be a resolution introduced to try to remove Santos from his committee. So some of this could also have been a preemptive move by Santos as well. McCarthy saying that he is appreciative of Santos's decision here.
Right. It sounds like he may have seen the writing on the wall. Okay, Nikole Killion on Capitol Hill, Steven Portnoy here with me. Thank you so much.